Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Brady, and I am sharing my experience in Bali. This is like my story about my experience and my journey going to Bali. It's less about like the places to go and like how much things costs. There's plenty of videos on that, and I recommend if you're visiting Bali to check those out. But this is more of like an in-depth dive into my personal journey through Bali. And I haven't done it yet. I'm filming this in July of 2026, and I was in Bali for a full month yeah, of January this year. And I just haven't had the chance to share my experience yet. And so I wanted to revisit that time because it was such a beautiful and amazing experience for me. So I threw on my Bali pants, and I'll pop up here so you can see. I took these pants to Bali. I took these pants to Bali. Surprisingly, I didn't buy them in Bali. I bought them here in Utah, which is where I'm based. But, anyways, uh, yeah, where to begin? Well, I suppose I'll begin with the two reasons why I wanted to go to Bali. And the story begins like around this time last year when I feel like my life started to really expand and take off in fun and adventurous ways. I did a week-long river rafting trip, and I started getting into raving more, and I was meeting lots of fun new people, getting out of my comfort zone. And one of these people that I met, and I'm going to be giving names, but I've altered the names of these people. Um, and I met this girl, and I'm just making up this name right now, and her name was Lenny. And Lenny was incredible, is incredible, and I kind of fell in love like instantly when meeting her. And we started getting to know each other and hanging out. And the number one place that we both wanted to visit was Bali. It was at the top of the list, number one. And so I did something, and I bought tickets for the both of us to go to Bali for a month without telling her. And when I did tell her, it was a surprise. And she said yes initially. And then the next day she said no after thinking about it. And that was kind of a hit, but it felt in alignment. Um, and so, yeah, I got the tickets because we both wanted to go, and also because I have a spiritual friend who lives in Bali who's been trying to get me to come out to Bali for like a long time, and I just haven't hadn't gotten out there yet. So I wanted to go visit him, and in preparation for coming to Bali, we had a falling out because it seemed like he was more interested in having me pay him to spend time with him, which is like a classic guru thing to do. And so I wanted to go visit him, and I wanted to go with this girl, and both of those things fell through. Um, and so I was preparing to go on this trip, and I didn't know exactly why I was going anymore. And that was a little concerning, but I decided that I was still going to go. I was going to have the adventure. So, anyways, oh, by the way, I should note this that my my trip to Bali was basically a birthday gift to myself because my birthday is in the month of January, January 6th. And so my flight left Salt Lake City on January 5th, and then I flew across the world and got to Bali on January 7th. So I spent my whole birthday, and my birthday disappeared. It like literally like evaporated into thin air. Um, and so I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny, but that's the way I designed it. So I would get there on my birthday, but whatever. So I get there and spend the first couple days just acclimating. It's pretty different. Um, and exploring just kind of my surroundings. I was staying I went to Ubud. So my game plan was I was going to have a home base in Ubud, which is more or less the spiritual center of Bali. And from there, I would like go on the weekends, go travel to other parts of Bali and have different experiences. But it was important for me to have like a home base. And so I was in Penistenen, which is a little bit west of Ubud, like southwest, just a tad. And so I stayed there in a little commune. And not gonna lie, the first days they kind of had me amiss a bit. Um, there was like my neighbor had a bunch of roosters that he was raising, and so those were really loud. And getting around on the scooter is crazy, and learning how to ride the scooter. So it was a lot all at once for me, and pretty stressful. I actually made a Instagram reel talking about how bad it was, and I shortly took that down just because I realized that that wasn't my honest take. It was just kind of me being a baby. So, anyways, one of my intentions for the trip that I came up with is I wanted to have a experience with the divine feminine. And Bali's a very feminine place. That's why I wanted to go. I tend to be a bit feminine myself, and so it felt an alignment for me. Um, so yeah, with that in mind, I wanted to, meet people, meet a woman, and connect with her, have an experience, and yeah. So that's kind of, if I had an intention, that was basically it. Um, so first couple days, I am exploring, and I find this warung that I really like, and a warung is just a restaurant. So this was called Warung Ting Ting. And I actually, up to this point, I hadn't really been talking to anybody, and more just kind of in my own little space exploring. And I finally met another solo traveler named Anil, and he's from the Netherlands, and he's Hindu. And we just kind of vibed with Warung Ting Ting, and we wanted to connect and do some adventures together. So I invited him to go to the Hindu temple with me the next day and do this ritual where you get into the water and there's fountains and it goes over you and you wash away your sins essentially and say prayers. And so he agreed to come with me so he could have some pictures of Hindu stuff to send to his parents because that would make him happy. um, but we planned on doing that the next day and having an adventure. And also, we both wanted to kind of hit the party scene, and Ubud's not the place for that. It's more of like Canggu, Uluwatu, kind of the beach city, where kind of near the ocean, and more of the city Despensar. Um, so, anyways, there was a DJ coming that we got to Savaya, I believe it's called, and we um, got tickets to go see him in the future, and like a couple weeks down the road. So things are kind of starting to roll for me. Also, I want to mention that I did bring two books. I was listening to Break the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza, and also um, oh, Life, Memoirs, and Memories of Carl Jung. And I was taking time listening to those. And part of my intention with the Divine Feminine was to also have a sexual experience um, as well. And one thing that I really loved that Carl Jung, he talks about the shadow, he talks about a lot about sexuality actually. And so he talked about how like sexuality finds dignity in a container, and he uses different words for it, but I'm just giving the dumbed down version. Anyways, basically, that if I take this sexual idea or this intention and I give it a container so it doesn't like run rampant in my life or it doesn't like consume everything, then it finds dignity. And I really liked that. And so basically, what I did was I drew a little like a sketch essentially of what I wanted to create with this, experience, and I put it in the drawer of my dresser. And I would occasionally go to that to kind of create this scene that I wanted to create for myself. Anyways, um, forward wind a little bit. We I go with a niche um, to the temple. Super awesome, and that day was really crazy. Like the experience going to the temple was amazing, and we went to a waterfall afterwards. And I remember driving around and like once a week that all the Balinese people go to their temples and they do their rituals, so they're dressed up in the traditional Balinese garb and whatnot. And I remember that day in specific, just like it was really striking, like everyone's outfits, and it just seemed like something wasn't off, but there was some sort of quality there. And that day, that evening, I went to a burger place because I hadn't had an American burger yet. And I get there, and on Tuesdays, this burger place has half off burgers. And so I was like, oh, dope. Let's go. And so I get a burger, and then I signed up and got tickets to my first ecstatic dance. And I live kind of on, well, like I said, on the west side of Ubud, and that's near Alchemy, which is a yoga spiritual center type place. They do breath work, yoga, all sorts of stuff. And there's lots of those, but this one's a little bit more, how you say, it's a little more posh. Also, right next to Zest, which is also kind of a posh vegan restaurant. Anyways, so I go to Alchemy that night for the ecstatic dance. So amazing. Just the structures that they built in Alchemy is just absolutely beautiful. I'll throw up a picture if I can. But it's the middle of the night. It's raining, and I'm in this bungalow hut structure doing a static dance for the first time, and it was just an insane experience. I remember for static dancing, you're completely sober, and so I'm completely sober doing this dance, but I just remember feeling like I'm on drugs, like this is nuts. So I go home and I go to sleep, and I proceed to have the most vivid dream of my entire life. And just to give you a quick summary of it, because it is noteworthy, is in my dream I was back at the venue for the dance, and there were these people who were kind of speaking in tongues in a way, and I could hear them kind of whispering as I kind of walked around in the venue, and I wasn't frightened, but it kind of seemed like mystical, almost dark magic stuff. And I turn around and look at the people, and there's this big orb, and people are going into the orb. And my curiosity about what was happening with them pulled me into this orb. And at that moment, I had a very visceral, like bodily experience. I literally, you know how when you have a dream and you feel like you're falling and you wake up, it was kind of like that, but like times a million. And instead of falling, I was being pulled in, and so I'm kind of in this really unexplainable kind of place, and I reach out my hand because nobody else is there, and I think that I'm not at the destination yet, so I reach out my hand, although I feel like out of body, so I don't know how that makes sense, but I reach out my hand to have somebody grab me, and nobody takes my hand, and I start to freak out, and then I wake up. But this Bali dream like had a crazy profound impact on me. And ever since, I've been trying to get back into the orb and not freak out and be able to explore that space more. So, anyways, that's just kind of a side note, but it was just one of the really cool things that happened to me while I was there. I think it was like astral projection or something, some out of body experience. So, anyways, I guess like continuing on, um, I'm exploring, and I end up going to like one of those first weekends going to Canggu to Finn's Beach Club by myself. I got a loft in Seminyak, and it was just a super vibe. I was actually supposed to meet up with a friend from the States who was also in Bali, and we were going to go to Finn's together, and that actually fell through. So I ended up going to Finn's all by myself. But that was like Finn's is awesome. Like it's definitely more of a party scene. Definitely want to go there and get a cabana and give it a try. But I didn't really love the city, so I got right back to Ubud after that. And I'm just kind of like looking at my timeline right here. Um, oh, one thing that I wanted to mention is that I did get a gym membership like pretty dang quick. I went to Rendezvous Fitness, which is on the north end of Ubud, and it's amazing. Like, definitely check out that gym if you're in Ubud. It's got everything. Bali is can be pretty. I think in general is pretty cheap. You can do it like super cheap. Also, it's easy to go expensive if you ball out or if you just aren't being very smart or wise with your money. I ended up getting this kind of westernized space, like this apartment space, and it was more expensive than my rent here in the States and smaller. But when I booked it, I planned on having two people with me. Um, and that ended up, not happening. And so I kind of had a larger space. But just for example, I paid $1,200 for the month for that, and there were other options that were like $600 that were like somewhat similar, definitely not as nice. But you could go as low as 600 a month, or as low as like 300 a month if you stayed at like a little homestay and all you have is a little room. So there are definitely options, and just a tip: if there are ways to bypass like Verbo and Airbnb, and that's more so if you know somebody who's out there. So I don't know exactly how you'd get around that, but definitely ways to go a lot cheaper than I did. That's for sure. Um, let's see. What else is noteworthy? I guess I'm kind of like halfway through my trip at this point, and I'm still feeling like I'm not meeting a lot of people, but my the second half of the trip things started taking off a lot more for me, and I guess I'll just kind of like forward wind to with my friend Anil. We got a really nice villa in Uluwatu, which is the beach city, and we made a weekend out of that, going to Savaya, and seeing Marco Corolla. And we actually, Anil met another friend that there's three of us that went in on this villa. But at the at the dance party, by the way, like if you're in Uluwatu, you have to go there to Savaya Savannah. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but go there, check it out. It's like the best beach club. Lots of like Russians, lots of Europeans, no Americans. Like, and I'm not just talking about just at this club, but like in general, like in Bali, that was my experience. Oh, and also a lot of Australians. Like all the Australians come, Germans, European, but that's kind of it. Russians, no, nobody from the States, which I thought was interesting. I thought there'd be more people. Anyways, my friends we're all trying to like meet chicks and have a good time and all this, and I'm kind of getting shot down a little bit, just kind of doing my thing. Got a drink in my hand, dancing. I got my pants on, and I see this girl with this like leopard print tattoo, and also like a leopard top. Super sexy, so hot. And eventually go over and talk to her and her friend and start dancing, and it's a vibe. And yeah, we kind of hit it off. And I actually invited her back to my villa. She said no because she's going with her friend to sleep on the beach that night, which I thought was nutso. But also maybe what the divine feminine would do. I'm not sure. But I was definitely getting like divine feminine vibes from this chick. And we will call her Abigail. That's what we'll call her. And so, anyways, like I just remember I remember most of the trip being very desperate to meet somebody. Like I said, I was kind of hoping to do that. And after meeting her, I remember just the next day just being so elated, so elated. And I was moving different from that point because at that point I felt like I had found what I was looking for. And I wanted to be able to come to Bali and meet new people, have an experience, like knowing nothing, just make it all happen. And like I had I had met some friends and we did the weekend trip and that was awesome. I was like big time. I was like big leagues. And then I met this girl and it's all like coming together. And so I'm just feeling so thankful and so grateful. And just like I said, moving different, moving different. I wasn't turning my head at every girl that I saw or something like that. So checked out the beach the next day with Anil, and then basically made my way back to Ubud. And at this point, I have like a week left, and I ask um, Abigail and her friend if they want to come to a villa. Well, first I took her out to like a steak dinner. I was due for like a nice meal, and so I took her out. We had a good time, and then I rented this big villa, invited them over for my birthday because like I said, I didn't have a birthday experience yet. So I threw myself a little party, they came over and it was so dope being able to chill at this beautiful villa. Like I said, it was pretty expensive, but definitely worth it. Like if you're gonna go, you should definitely ball out a time or two. So we spent that evening like chilling um, and enjoying drinks. And I'm not a huge smoker, but I do like some nicotine. And her and her friend, they would roll their own cigarettes and we would smoke and just enjoy the pool and all that. Just all time, all time epic moment. And then the next day, waking up in the beautiful place, that's where I learned that what Gunna's music is made for. The artist Gunna, if you mean, like that music is made for waking up in a beautiful villa with beautiful women and just loving life and just playing that at the villa. That's what Gunna is made for. Next time you have the chance, do that shit. Um, so yeah, basically that's kind of the exclamation point on my trip, and I spend the next day with Abigail, and then the one of the last nights, um, which was February 1st, I left like the 3rd, was a full moon, and it was a Leo. And the Leo moon is the moon of expression. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this is the night that I sexually express with the divine feminine. And it ends up happening. And it was a good experience. However, reflecting back on it, it was definitely way too soon to have like a sexual experience with somebody. And that was like a big lesson to me because I've kind of been on the outside looking in on this like party lifestyle and like hookups and stuff like that, thinking like, oh, like glamorizing that. But it's just so not right, so not accurate. If I could go back, I wouldn't do that. And I would spend more time doing the things that were fun with this person, like laughing and storytelling and going on walks and dancing, and that sort of stuff, like getting to know this person instead of jumping straight to something sexual. So the next day I left, and the experience that I had with Abigail, and it was kind of ended on a sad note. Um, but just because I was leaving and the way things ended. But anyways, yeah, I had come and completed everything that I wanted to do, and I had healed a lot. Bali has some incredible healing qualities. My knee had been giving me like issues for years, and just in the 30 days that I was in Bali, I just felt like it had been healed. Like the inflammation must have just gone away. But there's like little things like that. My skin cleared up, my body was feeling better, and also I think I was eating better too. But all that to say that my experience with Bali was very healing, very transformative, and it just taught me that I can do anything. Like I can do anything. I can show up anywhere, make anything happen. Um, and that was a huge confidence boost, like major confidence boost. And I love Bali for that. And I'm so grateful for Bali. And you know, coming home from Bali, it kind of felt like it was very surreal coming back because it kind of felt like I started this new life and I was building all these new neural pathways and it was so fun. And then I come back here and it's almost like I was starting to forget parts of my life back home. And it was like the best way to describe it is like getting an organ transplant. I just felt like I was like transplanted to another body. Um, I don't, I don't know why I'm saying that, but that was just kind of like another notice. It was really cool, and I guess where I was going with that is, you know, it's possible to just up and leave and go do something different. And maybe in another universe, another timeline, I stay in Bali. Actually, I may end up going back because the ticket that I got for Lenny, um, I still have the credit to like the flight credit, so I could use that ticket to just go right back maybe at the end of this year. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm open to it. But there are possibilities, and Bali is a beautiful place to go to explore yourself, to explore the divine feminine and the masculine, and really just, you know, for me, it was a beautiful experience. So I encourage you to go. If you're watching this video and you're considering going, go to Bali. Everyone that I've talked to has had a good experience. So, anyways, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. Hope it was helpful. But thanks for listening to my story. All right, bye.